Over there, please.
Whoa. Hi, Jessica.
Stop.
What? It's Jessica. Hi, Jessica.
Stop eating, please.
Hi, Jessica. Can you see my thumb?
Hold on a second.
You can't even see my thumb here. I could be like this though, right? It's tied up over there. Oh, hi. Ah!
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Everyone should be coming on soon.
Oh, let me change that background thing again. Let's see.
Nice background. Oh, man. How's your day going, Alan?
Not so bad. That was great. How about yourself?
Perfect. Spent the first hour going through the entire webinar, make sure everything's running perfect today. So,
Is this the only webinar you do? Is this the only one you'll do?
no, I have one at 1 that I put together for some of my clients and some of my hoteliers, just to see what's going on with sustainability and what we're doing in the transportation business. So, good morning, Kathy, ma'am. Good morning, Heather.
Good morning.
There you go.
Good
Morning. Morning.
Look, sight people that remember, look at my apron.
Cute.
Hey there.
Look at Pam. Pam's already.
It's actually not bad.
Weird.
Hey, everything okay?
Virtual background. Take it off. Do better or not?
I hate my hair. I look like what I need to do.
Good morning, everybody. We're just giving a few minutes for everybody to log in. Some people are in the kitchen already ready to go.
They think,
Almost there.
although the rest it's really good. Got 12 eggs in it. It's all veggies. And then 12 eggs. Called the simple veggie frittata. The chef guy, this new
Morning, everybody.
started wanting something healthy. I gotta find my-
Someone's reading in their kitchen.
And we got a few people that are ready and excited. Hey, I've been holding off not having breakfast yet, and I have, I think, neon teeth.
The universe is in your teeth.
I'm dicing everything.
Yeah, they wanted us to cook. We did this. And then I'll eat together, but I wonder if I can get it on in two places.
Justin, I have some hidden people coming on for you.
I see some names I recognize.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise. No pressure.
Nah, never.
Morning, Heather. How you doing?
I'm great. You?
Living it. Look at this. Look at this. I'm in the kitchen.
My camera will stay off.
We're gonna see if he actually works.
I saw
Yeah,
somebody
but-
with a giant beagle in their background.
Good morning, everybody. We're waiting for a couple more people to log on. So we can get started. Will be Justin has been so kind and gracious to join us today, and I think help us because this quarantine or COVID thing have us maybe getting some pounds that we want to make sure we get rid of before we are released back into the world and back into humanity. So it's like think ahead and curve any issues we might personally be having with that. But Justin will be introducing us, going through a couple of incredible pointers, tips throughout, and then we will be going through some questions. Anybody may have a lot of questions. Make sure you're writing them down. If you all kind of get a little familiar with the Zoom, and I think we all have, there's going to be a little chat box in the middle of your screen. So any questions, just type them in there and we'll answer them after he finishes. And then we'll go on, and whoever wants to get started and get cooking, we'll do it all together with them, okay? So one of the things that I'll go ahead and kick us started or get us started now, one of the things that we are doing is challenging everyone for May miles and minutes. We know we're used to normally racking a lot of miles, airline miles. Well, right now, since we haven't been able to kind of get those going, what we're doing is going to do a fitness challenge on how many miles or minutes we're doing on a daily basis. So we thought we'd kick it off tomorrow. That's May 1st. And we are going to be competing with other chapters. So we want to make sure we're going to provide you all our Sight Southeast Facebook page. Make sure you're following, joining, And that's where you're going to be reporting on a daily or weekly basis your miles. We're going to have some more information go out later today. So it's going to be a nice competition and kind of help us get all together and curve everything we need to during this time. So I will go ahead and introduce Justin Blyden. Thank you so much for joining us today. He's a certified health coach, and I will let you go ahead and take over from here.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I had to do some jumping jacks to get myself into the morning because I'm not a morning person. But here I am in my kitchen, and we're here to talk about losing the COVID-20. And as you can see from my little slideshow here, this is about feeling healthy again. We are all in the same boat together. We're all stuck in our individual places. Some people have houses. I'm stuck in my apartment. But you guys, whatever it is, we have habits that are starting to be intensified, and we're starting to see those things start to add up. So how do we get healthy again? Well, I want to start off by telling you a little bit about who I am. So my name is Justin Blyden, certified keto and intermittent fasting health coach and consultant. So what that looks like is I was on a path. I was going down the corporate path, being a videographer and photographer. I was living the fast life. I was doing everything I wanted to do in my life, and I was going to the top. I used to work for the events team, actually. I used to work with some people on this call. And what we used to do is put on different events all around the country, sometimes around the world. And it was the best of times until something happened to this guy. This is about 4 years ago. And the story goes, it sounds funny when you first start talking about it because this is like, you know, a golf cart accident, but it's more serious than it looks. Me and my coworker, we were actually doing some drop-offs for the big house versus the small houses. This is down in Augusta. We had a concierge system going, and we would drop off people at their smaller villas, and we take them from the bigger villa. It was dark. It was just raining. That's how I see it anyway. And it was uphill at night. Me and my coworker were in the golf cart. And as we went up the hill, we went around the corner too sharply, hit a curb. I fell out one way, she fell out the other way. And I didn't even know I was broken at the time. I didn't know my shoulder was broken. But I did see her over there under the spotlight, under the streetlight. She was on the ground, not moving. And she was laying in a pile of her own blood. And I walked over, she wasn't moving, and I had to, you know, make sure she was okay. It was the most shocking time of my life. I've never actually dealt with anything like that before, where I was directly responsible. I was driving at the time for someone else's life through an accident. So she came to, took her to the hospital. She was actually had a concussion, and she was bleeding from the head. I actually had broken my shoulder. They asked me if I had gotten checked out. I told them I hadn't. I did an x-ray, and this is what it is. This is what it looked like. This is what I call my tap on the shoulder from God. This is a clean break. Usually these are the most painful and the most, these are the most fragile breaks in the body. But this particular one is so clean. There was just a perfect cut right down the middle. So I found that as a way of God getting my attention. That's the way I see it. And no one can change my mind about that, because from that moment on, things changed for me. I wanted to go a different direction. I didn't want to just live fast and die young, you know. So, Heather's okay. She's actually on the call today. She's alive and well. She's thriving. That's a good end to that story. But my story continues, and I started to wonder about what I wanted to do with my life. Do I want to be a videographer? Could I even lift a camera anymore? That's what I wanted to know. Is my life over? And I thought for a minute there, yes, it was. But I started thinking about healing. How can I heal myself? Is it even possible? Will I always have this plate in my arm? You know, I want to know all these questions. And I started studying deeply about how to heal and how the body works, digestion, all these different things. So I started living my life very differently, started walking the stairs, started riding my bike to work, started eating healthy, stopped drinking, stopped smoking, all this stuff. And people started noticing. So they said, hey, I noticed you've been changing. What do you do to stay healthy? And I say, there's some things. They said, can you write me about 10 things you do? And I said, yes. So I started writing, and then I couldn't stop. And this is how this book came about. First book, I'm not an author, but apparently I'm a writer now because it's there. So I put it on Amazon. I was like, what can I do with this thing, you know? And eventually I took it from that, took it into coaching, which was another level. I got certified and decided I wanted to really not just learn this stuff about how to heal, but also teach people how to heal themselves. And weight loss is cool, but there are other things that have to happen before the weight loss. You get the weight loss because you're living healthy. And this is possible for everyone. So of course I have a ton of clients and they lose an average of 8 to 10 pounds in 4 weeks. And that's just like, that's being kind of conservative. They lose a lot more than that sometimes. This is in water, but this is also, we focus on fat loss, not so much weight loss. But you know, there's one of them there is on the call today too. This is Velma, and she had a goal of running a half marathon. And we took her from absolutely running nothing at all. And I guided her on the path to health, to hitting that mark. She didn't win the marathon or anything, but she was there. I went down to Houston to see her run this thing. And it was the best thing in my life. I've never seen that progress, that process in motion, but she finished that half marathon. She lost a ton of weight. She feels healthy. She's inspiring people in Houston. And I think I'm on the right track. So I think part of my journey also was a spiritual journey. It was mental, it was spiritual, it was physical. I stopped to slow down. I had enough time to actually get back into the Bible. As a Christian, I didn't know how important the Bible actually was as far as the Word of God. Psalm 19:9 says, and these are the promises I started looking for, because I was always told, it's God's plan, it's God's purpose. The fear of the Lord is pure, enduring forever. The laws of the Lord are firm, and all of them are righteous. So I was like, okay, I trust you. If this is what you say, if everything you say is true, I trust you. And I don't know if you remember the movie 10 Commandments, or more recently, The Prince of Egypt, for you guys have kids. There's a part in there where they cross the Red Sea. They go through, they get out of Egypt and they get out of the Red Sea. And the first thing God promises them is, if you listen carefully to the Lord your God and do what is right in his eyes, if you pay attention to his commands and keep all of his laws, I will not bring on you any of the diseases I brought on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals. And I started realizing the God that I serve, he is a healer. And if he's a healer, he's given me the ability to do the same thing. I can do all things through his power. So I started to really believe this stuff because that's the God that I believe in. And so far it's true. I mean, there is nothing that the body can't heal. He made the body to self-heal. We all start off like this little baby here. We start off with life we don't even know what life is, but we start off with this fire, this passion in us to just move forward and just become the best versions of ourselves from day one. But somewhere along the way, we forget that that's possible. And just like this older gentleman here, this is Joey at his prime. This is, I think, this was the last Thursday, I think it was. But Joseph. But what I think is, this is how we should be into our old age. We do not have to deteriorate as much as fast and as much as we do. There are certain laws in place, natural laws, that we should obey and follow to see this through. And it's possible. And I've seen it. So some of the most common health problems, I would say there's, of course, the big D, diabetes, heart disease, high cholesterol, hypertension, mood disorders, anxiety. If we don't have these, we know somebody who does have these. And they're all completely, they get worse with time. They don't get better. If we don't change something, they don't change our mode, they only get worse. Liver and kidney damage, poor vision. So I'm gonna give you a lot of bad news right up front, and then we're gonna follow up with some good news. Just FYI. So heart disease, of course, you have 647,000 deaths annually. This is in the US alone, by the way. So cancer, of course, medical errors, chronic lower respiratory diseases, accidents. Of course, it goes down the list down to nephritis, which is inflammation of the kidneys, suicide. These are the most common deaths in the United States. And a lot of them are preventable, especially I look at diabetes and some of the other lifestyle diseases. Those can be avoided. And now, of course, we have a new contender on the list. We have COVID-19, which is, as of yesterday, it was 61,400 deaths. And these are all because of, well, not all, but most of them are from pre-existing conditions. We're starting to add things in like heart attacks, pneumonia, asthma. All these things are things that were already there. The prohibits makes them worse, and they lead to mortality. So let's start with heart disease. The heart is a muscle. It's meant to be worked out, but we don't even take it as far as it can go. We work our biceps. That's the first thing we think about when we're starting to work out, but our heart just needs to be worked out just as much. It is the most powerful muscle in the body, besides our brains. We don't even know how cholesterol works. If we knew that, we would not take cholesterol medication. We would actually encourage the process, but reduce inflammation. Cholesterol works like this. When you get stung by a bee or you get scratched on the outside of your skin, you usually you bleed a little bit, right? But then, of course, your body starts to do something. It starts to scab up, it swells maybe, and then it heals. That's the outside. The inside is the same way. Whenever you have lacerations on the interior walls or inside the body, cholesterol goes to work to try to heal those things. It patches them up. It's like a Band-Aid. So the body can do its healing. But when we eat the way we eat every single day, kind of unhealthy, we're constantly scratching. If you can imagine just lacerating your outside of your hand all the time, you're going to build up calluses. You're just going to start to, not just, scars won't go away. They'll stay there. And that's when you have these blockages that start to form on the inside of the arterial walls. And then, of course, what happens after you start to have vessels that collapse on each other? You have to put in stents. And Harvard did a study that said this might be one of the most unnecessary surgeries, but 600,000 plus are done every single year. This is the most common surgery in the United States. And the low end is 600,000, the high end is 2 million of these surgeries are done every year. It's just procedure, but we can avoid it. And of course, you see medical errors there, 251,000 medical errors. That includes complications through surgery, medications, and it's like the third on the list. This is actually pretty serious things. And of course, whenever that happens, whenever we go through these pains and whatnot, we go right back to the medication. And this is the exact face that I've made at the pharmacist when I'm like, I'm listening, but I'm not listening, and shake my head and I have that, glossy-eyed stare, because no one actually reads the laundry list of warnings on the bottle and that come with the medication. And we smile and we're like, okay, I'll just take it as prescribed, but we don't do our homework. And so it gets back into the problem of liver damage and other problems. Taking a ton of medication. One of the things I was worried about with breaking my shoulder was, of course, taking opioids. Not only does it damage your liver, but also it has habit-forming properties to it. I was afraid I'd become a crackhead. I didn't want to do that. So I was really hoping to get off of that as soon as possible. I wanted to heal to get off the medication. Liver damage is very real. And the sad thing about it is whenever you get to a point where it's registerable, when you get the note from your doctor that says, oh, you have liver damage, you're already 90% damage. And that's from alcohol, that's from sugars, that's from medication. It takes a beating. And this is the one organ that can regenerate in a year or two if you give it a chance. It's 100% regeneratable. And we just got to give it a chance. Just get out of the way, let the body heal. And also get off the medications. What does a sick liver look like? It looks like, kind of like the shaman here, who has a distended abdomen. This is what you call fatty liver disease. It used to be that only hard-drinking men from 1950s and 40s would get this disease. Now children get it. Children as young as 8 to 10, they're developing this thing from sugar, from the amounts of sugars they put in the body. But fatty liver can be reversed. Doesn't have to be that way. And it actually starts even with skinny people. It doesn't have to be a fat person. It can be a skinny person that develops the fatty liver as well. So let's talk about diabetes, being the #1 cause of kidney failure. Not only does your liver get affected from things you put in and on your body, but your kidneys as well. That's what cleans your blood. Lower limb amputations, adult blindness is the #1 cause, according to the CDC. So metabolic syndrome, prediabetes, diabetes, this is how it works. It starts off with, just eating whatever you want as a teenager. Then you work your way into hangriness, the sleepiness after you eat, the fogginess, the blurry vision. That's prediabetes. It's leading into the actual state of diabetes, which is a full-blown, I have to take medication to get everything that's happening outside. It's a lot of different things. It's a series of symptoms. That's what diabetes is. Diabetes, how do you know when you're starting to get into prediabetes? there are small blood vessels that go to your extremities, like your eyes, your fingers, your toes, your reproductive organs. They're like capillaries. As you start to go crazy on the sugar and the lifestyle, these little capillaries, they start to die. The blood vessels start to die, and so the nerves start to die. That's why you can feel tingling in your fingers or numbness in your fingers. Your eyes, they start to go blurry because those are the smallest blood vessels in the body. They start to die. Those little floaters that go in your eye, if you look out into the distance, those are actually dying blood vessel nerves. Like I said, the blood vessels die when you have damage to the blood vessels. The nerves die whenever you have blood vessels that die, that go to your toes and fingers. Numbness of your fingers and toes, that is a surefire sign of prediabetes. And of course, the way to fix it is more medication. Not the best fix. We can do better. So I started connecting the dots. I was like, well, if this is a cycle, I mean, there's no way out of this. If we feel sick, we take medication. We get sick, we take medication. We feel sick, we take medication. It just keeps going and going and going. Is there no way out of it? There is a way out. There definitely is. I also realized there could be, I asked the question, could there be one common cause of most health problems? Yes, there is. There's one way to reverse these things. This is the pancreas, which secretes insulin, of course. Not insulin, but it creates enzymes that break down your food as well. This thing works over time. The American pancreas is nonstop because we take in nonstop amounts of sugar and processed carbs and alcohol and so many different things. We're not meant to make that many, we're not meant to have that much processing in the pancreas, but we do. The body is very resilient. It's a miracle of nature, but this is what we have. This is how it works. When you get into insulin resistance, you have the pancreas who speaks to your other cells, like your liver cells, your fat cells, and it sends out insulin, which is a communicator that speaks to other cells and your organs. It's communicating with the liver saying, hey, I've got some food for you. Because the number one job of the pancreas is to feed cells first. If you feel hungry, the pancreas is like, bring it on. You eat a sandwich, pancreas activates, but it treats sugar like a toxin. It tries to get it out of the blood as soon as possible. So if you keep eating, though, if you keep eating high amounts of sugar or processed carbs and things like that, it keeps putting out insulin, but the cells stop listening. You have this problem where the cells will actually shut up. They won't hear it anymore. And so insulin builds up in the blood, sugar builds up in the blood, fat gets stored, and you have a hyperinsulin problem. 1 in 3 Americans over the age of 20 years of age have prediabetes. And the scary part is 90% don't even know it. This is according to the CDC again. Scary numbers because this is how we're used to it. We're used to feeling this way and living this way. We just don't know the other side yet. So the way it's supposed to work is we eat carbohydrates. Say we have a bagel or some oatmeal or whatever. Those carbs go into the blood, sugar goes into the blood. And then the insulin takes it and feeds the cell first, but the cell feels full. They're like, good, I'm good, I'm good. Starts to take that and puts it in the fat cells and it stores. But the way that we eat, it just keeps storing and storing. It's basically, if insulin is present, you cannot burn fat. You're only storing it. And the more sugar you add, the more insulin gets processed. Eventually the cells stop listening and you have insulin resistance. The cells stop getting nutrition. So you're not even taking protein in, you're not taking any minerals in, no electrolytes. Your cell is starving, but at the same time, you're getting bigger and bigger. You're like, what's going on? You know, you're taking in stuff, but it's just being stored away. So for instance, you have about 1.5 gallons blood in your system. A teaspoon is enough to activate your insulin. Just 1 teaspoon, that's about 4 or 5 grams. And when insulin sees that, it goes out, does its job, and brings it back. Do you know how many teaspoons the average American eats a day? 31 teaspoons. And that's a conservative estimate. 140 pounds of sugar for each and every one of us, 350 million Americans. I don't even know how much. In math, that's a lot of sugar. We consume a lot of sugar in carbs, regular sugar, whatever it might be. The foods that we eat go on the sliding scale. 100 is where sugar might live if you eat a spoonful of that. But carbs fall on the farther end, closer to sugar, while fats is the one food that stays on the far end, on the 0 end. It doesn't spike your insulin. So while it is high in calories, this is a completely different way of thinking because we're always like, we gotta get rid of calories, but we don't think about our insulin coming down. We go to the doctor, they said that they checked our blood sugar, it's fine. they don't ever check your insulin. Insulin stays high, but your blood sugar looks fine. Over the course of 15 years, you just build up insulin resistance. And you're like, I don't get it. My sugars are fine. Why am I diabetic? Carbohydrates, this is how they act in the blood. Carbohydrate, when you eat something that's really sugary, it spikes real quick and then it shoots right down. Proteins have a little bit less of a hump, and then fats, they barely register as spiking your insulin. That's why it's so crucial to eat properly. So here's how insulin works. You have a guy that works in a factory. His job is to store and to feed. Of course, you see all the shelves, those are the fat shelves. And he makes sure that every time that you eat, he puts it away. And every time we eat, we spike our insulin. So it goes crazy. These marbles represent sugar, and the insulin would be the guy that comes back and tries to clean it up. But every time we eat again, let's say 2 hours later, after we've had that, Dunkin' Donuts or whatever, we spike it again. And this is the inflammation process. This is the insulin process. We just keep spiking it. And we never really use the energy that we're taking in. It just gets stored. This is all the bad news. Good news is coming right up, guys, I promise. So this is the insulin resistant process. And before you even see the fat on you, you're gonna see the fat in your liver. That's usually what happens. Your liver gets fat, and then you see the rest of you. Your abdomen starts to get swollen, and we all have our particular areas of fat gain, but you can't lose it in one area, but you can lose it all over. But before you lose it outside, you gotta lose it on the inside of the liver. So of course, these are all the issues that happen, but also can be resolved with diet and lifestyle. High blood pressure, fatty liver, diabetes, we all know them very well. How do we get rid of it? This is a list I can provide to you, but this is a list of hyper and hypo, lower and higher sugar. And of course, you have long-term effects of having too much is kidney damage, fatty liver, stroke, heart attack. The list goes on and on. How do you know if you have high insulin? Well, on the right side, you probably have had some of these before. Sodium retention, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, muscle weakness, brain fog, things like that. Long term, you're looking at the cumulative effects. If you keep damaging the system, this is what could happen. How do you fix it? On to the good news. So your stomach is genius. Your whole body is ingenious, but it is built with sensors. The sensors not only tell you how much food you've had, like a balloon, it's like, okay, you've had enough. It tells you the quality of food that you've had. And the sensors go off whenever you have something that's fatty, like satiety. We call it ghrelin. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone. Your stomach gives off hormones too, which communicates with the rest of your body. But this is a bag of chips that we all open and never close. It says serving size 3 to 4, share with a friend. And we eat the whole thing not because we want it, but because we just do it out of habit. If you remember that Larry Bird commercial with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar back in the 90s, he says, I bet you can't eat just one. Or, Pringles, I think it is. Once you pop, you can't stop. It's true. It's because of MSG. MSG is a flavor enhancer, and it makes you think you're eating something good, but really it's just flavoring for sawdust, if you're going to consider it like that. So I recommend something called intermittent fasting. Have you guys heard of this before? Yes. Intermittent fasting, it sounds scary, I promise you. It's very easy. You have 2 nutrient-dense meals, high fat, high vegetable, medium protein, it's like a palm size of chicken or fish, or beans, or protein. You get plenty of protein from vegetables, by the way. I'm a vegetarian. But you get plenty of dense nutrition from each meal. No snacking in between. You go for as long as you can between those times. And by the time you have your second meal, you've had enough fat. The next day you feel fine. You give yourself enough time for the insulin to get low. When your insulin gets low, you go into fat burning and fat loss. This is what we call ketosis. But also you do something called, of course, you reduce inflammation in your body because you're not starving your body with sugars and processed carbs and alcohol, whatever it might be. But you go into something called autophagy. Autophagy is when your cell literally eats itself of bad products. Old DNA, old protein, old toxins, whatever it might be. Your cell gets rid of it and sends it straight to the liver, which is why your liver has to be on point, because it's your #1 fat burning hormone, but also it's everything that goes in and on the body has to go through the liver. So you want to make sure that's on point, clean. And that can be done too. This is your digestive tract disassembled. This heals in 5 to 7 days. If you give it a chance, it'll fast for 24 to 48 hours. You start putting yourself on track to heal within 5 to 7 days. I'm talking about GERD. I'm talking about heartburn. I'm talking about, there's all kinds of things. There's SIBO. There's all kinds of things that are in your stomach that need to be healed. And a lot of people have that. This is how your stomach works, basically. You have stomach acid, and you're told whenever you have heartburn to take antacids. Why do you do that? How do you get nutrition out of your food if you have no stomach acid? Some people take PPIs. I've helped people get off of PPIs by adding stomach acid and getting off their medication. It's completely counterintuitive, and PPIs are proton pump inhibitors, basically what your doctor gives you to reduce your stomach acid to about 1%. Reduces it by 99%. I don't know how it works if people don't have stomach acid, but I encourage people to take more stomach acid with an acidifier. Like something that I take is betaine hydrochloride or apple cider vinegar. There's other things you can take that are completely natural and help you to break down food so you can do the right thing. If you're not getting the food that you need, or if you're not eating at the right times, if you're stressed, this is a diagram of the rest and digest versus fight or flight. Fight or flight doesn't have to literally be in a fight. Your mind puts you in fight or flight. So if you're constantly at war with coworkers or at war with your lifestyle, or you put stress onto your body because of old issues, you're not really breaking down your food anyway. You're not taking in that nutrition because your stomach can't process and be stressed at the same time. So I recommend getting away from that. This is the esophageal sphincter. This is what closes tight whenever you have high stomach acid. And I can get more into that later. But to tell you the ideal way to get out of high insulin, high fat, high vegetable, medium protein, and carbs, that 5%, that's vegetables. We don't even register those because those are good carbs. Those are fiber. That's what your gut eats, your fibers eat. Have you guys ever heard of keto before? Eat a lot of bacon and you lose weight. They're not wrong, but also I don't subscribe to this method. I subscribe to the healthy keto method, which is first get your body to a place where you can take in the foods you want to eat. You can't eat a lot of meat if your liver is already sick. It only makes things worse. So a lot of cruciferous vegetables, if you just take these in, it'll clean your liver out, clean your blood out, get to a place where you build up a health reserve. And that's what I'm about with changing life. That's why I keep pushing this green drink. That is 7 to 10 cups of vegetables, dark green vegetables. That alone will help to get you to a place of healing. And that's if you give yourself some time. And usually about 10 days, you'll start to see it. This is healthy fats that I recommend: olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil. These are really healthy fats. They're not carcinogenic, and they don't cause inflammation in your gut. These are really healthy foods. So here's a few tips, and I want to go through these fairly quickly, but I can send you a copy of these things. This is how to begin to jumpstart your lifestyle. Fresh air. It increases immune system, lowers stress and depression, increases focus, supports healing, lowers aggression. There's studies done in Japan where they take prisoners and put them in the woods after being hyper aggressive, and they actually simmer down. 100% of the time, the inmates simmer down. And we are kind of like prisoners right now. We kind of are stuck in our own cells, but get yourself outside. Take yourself to a state park or a national park. Give yourself at least 30 minutes of fresh air, because the inside air is 4 to 100 times worse, according to the EPA, on the inside. And that's because we use a lot of cleaners, and especially right now, we're using a lot of disinfectants and cleaners. We have to take that in. We breathe it in, go straight to our lungs. We weaken our lungs. We make ourselves susceptible to the virus and to other things. It's just this hypercycle. So get outside, get to big open spaces. Especially right now with COVID-19, we got to take care of our respiratory, it's a upper respiratory disease. So get sunlight. If you can't get sunlight, take a supplement, vitamin D3, coupled with K2. I'll tell you why that in a little bit. Lower stress and depression, increases vitamin D, supports healing, anti-inflammatory. Actually can prevent asthma. Actually acts as a sunblock. Did you know that? Getting sunlight actually, without sunblock, encourages your body to block the sun. But you have to get your gut right, which I can talk about that. If you want to know more, there's a lot to go with this, but there's so much more to know. Mineral water. You can buy your own mineral water, which they get from springs high up in the Alpine mountains or whatever, or you can make your own. I recommend taking 2 or 3 pinches of sea salt, putting it in filtered water. You're getting 85 plus minerals with sea salt, Celtic sea salt, Himalayan sea salt, pink sea salt, whatever. It helps to balance your system. Your stomach, your hydrochloride, is the acid in your stomach. It needs chloride from sodium, chloride, salt, but you need all the other minerals too. There's only 2 in table salt. There's 85 in sea salt. The more you work out, the more you need. When you go into ketosis, when you start working out, when you exercise, you lose about 72 ounces of water just for an hour. So you need to be drinking far more than you think you're drinking, especially if you're active. And I recommend running stairs. This is the most powerful way to lose weight. I am not kidding. If you think you sweat while you walk, try walking stairs. I say run. You don't have to be like this lady, bound up the stairs, but walking stairs for 30 minutes a day builds up the huge muscle groups, metabolizes fat even while you're sleeping and not working out. Or it's what I call extra. We can go the exercise route or the extra thighs route. And this is basically what we wind up doing, is looking in the mirror and being like, how did this happen? And the answer is there's so many different processes you got to keep in mind. Some of us gain it on the thighs, some on the butt, some on the midsection, but it all starts inside. Also, another thing I recommend, of course, is your DGV, dark green vegetable smoothie, because there's 4,700 milligrams of potassium. Potassium pushes sodium out of your body. So you don't have to necessarily reduce your sodium, just increase your potassium and it pushes it down. That I drink every single day, it energizes like you would not believe. It rushes minerals, plant protein, electrolytes, fiber, and so much more straight to your organs, especially your liver. Of course, ditch the processed carbs and sugar. Stay away from hotel food. Stay out of Krispy Kreme. I know, so good, but this is the obvious one. Just if it comes in a box, stay away from it. Stop snacking between meals. If you need a snack, I recommend avocados, olives, nuts, coconut oil. You can even take, and this is not extreme, but you can take teaspoons of coconut oil, put it in your tea or coffee. It's completely safe. The inflammation is the issue. You don't want to have high inflammation. Reduce that. These healthy fats are good for you. Nuts, cashews, and macadamias, walnuts, good for your brain. Another thing you can do is get a coach. And it doesn't have to be this guy, although it's a pretty cool mustache. But I do recommend getting a friend, because working out with someone that does more than you do increases your productivity and your exercise by 200%, studies have shown. And there are some people on here that are super active, like Kim, who is a triathlete or a mega athlete. I don't know what I call that, but just link up with people like that who do these things. They can give you pointers and they won't judge you because they want you to be better. I think everybody wants everybody to be healthier. If you want it, that's what you want. And of course, finally, slow down and pray. I am a Christian. I do believe that there is a lot of truth in God's word, and I find it if I look for it. But that's to get you into a connection with him. The Bible's there to help you connect with him. If you can connect with him in nature, do that. If you can find a day to take a break, do that. I take the Sabbath, I take the 7th day, and I rest. If you can do that, you can boost your immune system, quiets the mind. It's full enjoyment of life, and you connect with your creator. I really believe that that's the way God intended. He rested when he created the whole universe, so he intends us as his creation to do the same thing. And take your family out, start a new process. If they aren't down with it, they'll see you and they'll start too. Your friends will too. I talked about Velma earlier. She started a whole movement out in Houston with her friends and family. It's really cool to see that happen around the country. Your faith in God's power and promises will heal you. I truly, utterly believe that. And if you don't believe it, test for yourself and find the promises and believe with your whole heart in them and follow his laws of health. If you want to know more, I have a couple. I have a book, I have the Mode book, and I also have these 2 quick start guides, which are absolutely free. You can find them on my website at www.changeyourmode.com. They are very quick. They're like 6 pages long, and they tell you exactly how to do keto, or keto if you want to do keto by itself, but veggie keto gets you into ketosis or fat burning faster. And intermittent fasting helps you stay out of insulin, hyperinsulin longer. I've talked enough, But that is it for me. I really hope that you have gained a lot of insight today. You can reach me at justin@changeyourmode.com. If you have any other questions, please let me know. I'm always welcome to questions. Thank you, guys.
Justin, that was fantastic. Great, a lot of great tips there for all of us, I think, and that we'll definitely put to use. I don't know if anybody has any questions right now for him. Feel free to chat, put them in the chat box in the below note, and then what we will do for those who want to and are ready. I know some of you are and have been waiting to get started in a nice frittata that Justin is going to lead us through. And I guess getting all the ingredients. So Justin, if you want to
Yes.
help us and guide us through, and everybody, whoever wants to, or follow along or just take notes and then do it after, because there also will be some prices. Once you share, take a picture of your final frittata, you share it, and Justin's going to have some cool prices there for you too.
Yes. So this is a veggie frittata. This picture is not mine. Mine is actually half eaten because I made it last night and I dug into it. But I'm going to show you, I'm going to work with you. If you guys want to stick around, I will be cooking one live. It's eggs, it's veggies, it's keto, which means that you can get into a fat burning state because you feel satisfied. And it's quick too. And, it's just different as well. It's like an omelet, but just in a pan. So I'm going to take you over here in just a second.
And Justin, we do have a question in the meantime.
Okay.
Kathy is asking if tomatoes should be avoided because they may be inflammatory.
Tomatoes, for most people, I've heard that too. But tomatoes is usually going to be for heartburn and things like that. They are beneficial once you get your stomach into a more working state. When I say that is, you have to first work on your stomach acids. The higher your stomach acid levels, the more you can handle things like tomatoes. Most people, they tell you to stay away from like peppermint, tomatoes. This is if you have heartburn. But whenever you feel for spaghetti sauce, the first thing you have to do is chase it with like a Rolade or something like that. Whenever you are managing your stomach acids, or say you even have like an inflamed esophagus, esophageal, or GERD, I'll say that, you can chase your food, before you eat your food, have some slippery elm before or aloe vera, and that soothes your esophagus and you can eat just like normal. But I recommend fixing the problem before you just kind of deal with the symptom. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So, welcome to my kitchen. I have an apron. I didn't have a logo placed on it, but I'm going to first start off with, I wasn't nervous about speaking. I'm really nervous about cooking in front of you guys. I don't do it in front of anybody.
So
who
everybody is going to be getting their ingredients ready, and then Justin, I know he's also getting everything set up.
How many of you are in your kitchens currently? Who's in the kitchen? I need to find my kitchen folks. Okay, there she is, Shasha. So I'll keep my eyes on you. So you're gonna take 12 eggs, put them in a mixing bowl. It's the first step. And when you do that, you're gonna be, of course, thinking, that's a lot of eggs, right? That's the question you're probably asking. Everybody's like, why so many eggs? That's because eggs are high in protein. They're half protein, half fat. The yolks are the cholesterol, of course, and the egg whites are the protein part. The good thing about eggs is, or the good thing about your body is it's so smart that it makes its own cholesterol. And when I say that, it's 30 to 100 milligrams a day. It's smart because if you need it, it makes it. If it doesn't need it, like if it's dietarily taken in, then it won't make it. It'll use the dietary supplement. So if you're eating 12 eggs, it stops making 12 eggs worth. It's about 14 eggs a day that it makes by itself, your body. So it's really smart. So the cholesterol usually, the analogy I've heard a lot of the time is if you have a fire, a house is on fire and firemen show up at the scene, that's like cholesterol. The firemen are there to put out the fire, but they're not necessarily the ones that cause the fire. And that's what cholesterol does. It acts as a band-aid. That, calcium, there's all kinds of things that show up to the scene to try to heal your process. But if you're not taking care of yourself on a normal basis, you're going to have inflammation, and then you're going to have, of course, arterial blockage and things like that. But also, this is a good way to get your fats in for the day. Usually, I don't say how much you should eat. I usually say you should eat enough to feel satisfied. The way that I coach is I tell people to be intuitive about it. If you're hungry, eat. When you're hungry, eat. That's after you come out of the whole hangry thing. If you're hangry, not good. If you're hungry, then go for it. But that takes a little bit of time. I say about 10 days or so. And it's not magic or anything. It's actually really founded science. So, spatula, or it's not a spatula. What is this thing called? A whisk. You want to whisk your eggs. It's really nice and fluffy. Also, I have this channel on Instagram where I make all my meals with one pan. This is a cast iron pan I found at Goodwill. And I literally make everything in this pan. I'm not joking. I make potatoes and I take them out, put them on the plate. Then I make like beans or rice or whatever, and I put it in there. And then I take my vegetables and I steam them in there. And I'm gonna make my frittata in this one pan as well, because I don't like washing dishes. So while that's going, I'm going to, I don't know, Sasha, did you chop up all your garlic? She did, okay. So I have here, to save yourself a bunch of time, I would go to Kroger or wherever your Publix, wherever you at, and find it already packaged. This is red peppers, onions, green peppers. The key here is to make it colorful. If we're competing, and this is about aesthetics, we wanna make it colorful. The picture you saw, that was Velma's. Velma is my integrator. She lives out in Texas, but she's been part of the process for a long time and she knows my brain. So she's teaching me how to be more efficient with all this stuff. I can do content all day and be creative. When it comes time to the structure, you know, I'm an artist, what can I say? So where's my knife? So you're gonna put olive oil in a pan. Olive oil is, again, really good if you are keeping the temperatures low. If you're smoking, you're killing all your amino acids. So it's not gonna be any good if your kitchen's full of smoke, which I didn't know that at first. So I thought that if it was smoking, that means I'm cooking. That's how I came up. My dad used to burn all the food. I found out that that's actually terrible for you. So barbecues, things like that. Yes, when they say it's carcinogenic, they mean that you're burning up all the parts and it's turning it into free radicals. Do you guys know what free radicals are? Yeah, I see heads nodding. Free radicals are basically damaging parts. I'm setting my oven to 350, by the way. That's pretty standard. Oh yeah. I have my old frittata. You guys want to see what my other one looked like? This is the half-eaten frittata, which is pre-made. Usually they whip this out at the end. If I was a pro, I would whip it at the end to show you the finished product in whole, but I ate it yesterday. So as your pan heats up, you're going to cut up your garlic pieces into, mince them. I just do it by hand, like a caveman, but you can use a cutting board. I'd recommend that. Oh yeah, so free radicals, they're bits of particles from food and other things like chemicals and whatnot that damage your cells. Your cells are they're very much alive, just like you. You have 37.5 trillion cells in your body. And if you're not treating them right, they can break apart. It causes a lot of damage. These free radicals roam rampant and cause damage to your cells. But with things like antioxidants, like vitamin C, you've heard of these things, berries, olive oil, these are actually, they're basically like donators. They go around and they donate electrons to the cells that are losing their electrons due to free radicals. I don't know if that makes any sense. Maybe not, I don't know. But basically, antioxidants help with the breakdown. So if you are going to be eating a ton of meat and carcinogenic things that break down your cells, you want to incorporate a lot of vegetables, which is why I promote the green drinks. I don't think that you have to remain a vegan for your whole life if you don't want to. If you wanted to eat and have a cheat day, I think that's okay. I allow them with my clients. I think that this is about intuition, not about perfection. But if you're trying to get into a health reserve versus a health deficit, you're going to want to do everything you can to put yourself in a fixed place, a healthier state. It's like a bank account. All right, so as this starts to sizzle, are there any more questions that I can answer while I'm mincing my garlic?
Can you turn your camera down a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Just see it on?
So it look like I'm kind of
Awesome.
just whittling in midair.
Thank you.
You got it.
Perfect.
So I have
Thanks.
you got it. I got my burner set to about halfway. I don't want to burn them. I just want to brown them.
Make sure it's not smoking. I got that part.
Hey, we're learning all the time. If it is smoking, you can take it off the burner. I usually do that. Oh, by the way, the kind of oils that I use when I cook, olive oil, you can use coconut oil, you can use avocado oil, all really healthy antioxidant style oils or fats. Fun fact, if you get these big things from the store, which I would recommend getting these if you're going to be making your DGVs of 5 to 10 or 7 to 10 cups of vegetables, get these but store them in the freezer. It keeps longer and it goes quick anyway. So I know what I do first. Most of you are like, why is he, you probably know how to do this better than I do, but I am just going with the flow. Here are onions, green peppers, and everything. Sasha, how's yours coming along? You already down the road? Okay, good. Put these in, I just put the whole thing in there. I don't even mess around with chopping it up sometimes. Because you know what? That's what chewing's for.
Cody's saying hi.
Who is?
Cody.
Cody. What up, Cody? Is that a miniature collie?
Shelty, yep.
Hey, those things are smart, I heard. You can even break it down in the pan if you want to. That's what I'm doing here. So while that kind of browns, you're going to take your egg mix and you're going to add all your spices to it. I don't know if you can see that. But let's see, we'll start off with black pepper. The sea salt that I talk about, you can get it anywhere. It's pink Himalayan. It's, again, just sea salt. A lot of the seasonings, you got to check them because, remember I was talking about MSG? You have to make sure that they actually don't have MSG in them. And you'll be surprised at how much MSG is in so many different seasonings. And it goes by different flavors like natural flavors, yeast extract, all kinds of different things. But I would just take a second to turn it over and make sure it's just the ingredient that you're supposed to have. So I'm putting a 4th teaspoon of black pepper. And I'm taking my sea salt. I'm putting half a teaspoon of sea salt. And to me, sea salt actually has a pretty different taste than table salt. Whenever you put it in your water, you're going to find that it actually makes your water kind of sweet. Who's tried it? Anybody tried it yet? You tried it. Just give it a shot. Okay, go me. Try it for yourself. It's actually really good. And you feel quenched when you drink it. All right. So I'm going to add my mushrooms. You don't need to cook these. Actually, you don't have to cook this at all that long. But I'm going to take my mushrooms and add them to the mix now. Probably just like a fourth of the box.
You have the fire on high or medium or?
I have it on number 4, which is like maybe a fourth.
Mine is fast, so I don't know. So medium, okay.
Yeah. Also, I have all these other ones here too. And if you want to enhance your flavor, let's start with this. Onion powder is good. It gets into the actual taste. Like you can chew on the onions and have bursts of flavor, but the onion powder gets into the egg. You can add that if you want to. Garlic powder is really cool too. You can see that. This one has parsley in it as well, so it gives it more of a robust compound flavor. Red pepper flakes makes it spicy. I put a few shakes. I just kind of covered my eggs with it last night. And of course, this is veggie, so there's no, our eggs are considered poultry, which isn't veggie, or dairy. Dairy is considered anything that comes from a cow, a bovine secretion. This, however, is my cheese flavor, which that's a terrible way to put it. This is nutritional yeast. This has the flavor of cheese. It's not my cheese flavoring, but it's super beneficial for you. This stuff is high in B vitamins. B vitamins have energy. They are your worker vitamins for all your other vitamins and minerals to do their job. Have you guys ever taken 5-hour energy shots? You've probably tried it before. That's B12, but there's also niacin and other things in there. This has 160% niacin. It has 300% B6, which is choline. And choline is good for your liver. It actually strips your liver of fat. So just this is a good brand, but you can get it on Amazon. Nutritional yeast is pretty standard. They have brewer's yeast and nutritional yeast. This is my favorite. It's Bragg's brand. And it's got a 470% B12. So if people say, where do vegetarians get their B12 or their iron? Veggies and cheese flavoring. Or nutritional yeast, I guess you can call it. So this is almost done. Oops. I'm going to be adding also, spinach is the last to go because it wilts pretty quickly. But I'm going to be adding something real cool. This is tofurkey. This is veggie meat. And I recommend this. I don't have the cover for it. I must have done that over yesterday. So it comes in a pack of 4. This is Italian sausage, Italian style tofurkey. This stuff is, when you're picking your veggie meat, say you do want to go vegetarian, you need some variety, which I would recommend trying everything possible. If you want to go for the super processed stuff, that's available. If you want to go for the super dry burgers, go for that too, if you want to try it. You can also make your own out of chickpeas and black beans and all kinds of stuff. But look at the packaging, look on the ingredients, look at the nutrition facts. Make sure it's got very few fillers and preservatives. Make sure the ingredients are one-word things that you can look up and be like, oh, I know what that is. This is one of those. This is basically just tofu, organic tofu. Make sure that it is non-GMO because 85% of the soy in the US is going to be GMO. That messes with your digestional tract. That goes for canola oils. It goes for, flavorings. They put it in everything too. So just make sure you check the box. I do with my coaching plans, I have something called a health food safari. And that is when I take my clients on a walk through Whole Foods or I take them through Fresh Market, whatever. And I show them the thing that they pick something off the shelf. It's like walking with a kid down the grocery aisle. They're like, what about this? And I'm like, no, that's got MSG. Or what about this? Look at the sugars. But it's healthy. And I say, look at the sugars. Look at the serving sizes. And usually it's shocking. It's an eye opener when you walk with people that they're told one thing is healthy, but then they look for themselves and they start doing their own kind of research. They realize you got to pay attention for yourself and your family. So these are nice. The extra cooking is going to come in when I put the eggs into this. But I'm going to put spinach in there now. For dark green vegetables, I recommend spinach, of course. Brussels sprouts are good. Broccoli is excellent. Kale is amazing. That's like basically my go-to. Kale. You remember? Here's a fun fact. I like to share this nerdy stuff. The number one buyer of kale in the United States in the 90s was. You guys know what it was? Anybody have a guess? Who ate kale in the 90s? Nobody, except for one company. It was Pizza Hut. They bought it for garnish around their salad bars. You guys might remember that. That's the only reason why kale existed. They got it all from Italy, and now everybody eats the kale, which, you know, fun fact. We get to eat that for nutrition now. And food science is changing all the time, and things that we thought were healthy are not so healthy. Do you know there's more vitamin C in red peppers than there are in oranges, and it stays longer with you, the whole complex? There's more, there's just as much protein in about 2 or 3 cups of spinach as there is in like a burger. Other things, a lot of things. All right, so I'm gonna leave it alone. Or broccoli, about 3 cups of broccoli, sorry. All right, so what I wanna do now is remove this from the heat. Can you see that? Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take my egg mix and I'm gonna stir it in nice and slow, just so I have it in every part of the mix. And of course, you're not gonna be eating, if you're a normal person, you won't eat the whole thing at once. So you won't be getting 12 eggs. You'll be eating maybe 2 or 3 per bite, per slice. I cut mine like this. So, you know, it's just enough. It's enough to make you feel satiated. So mine is looking pretty good. How's yours looking, Sasha? Good? How about you, Jessica? Good, all right. Oh, look at that. Yes, and she has the one pan too. That's what I'm talking about. So at this point, I'm going to add my red pepper flakes. This is when you want to add your, let's get it down low.
How's your coffee?
This is when you want to add your seasoning.
Sasha, I'm coming for lunch.
You add your red pepper flakes on top. I would mix these in.
That's gonna be spicy.
I do like it spicy.
And what was the seasoning that you mentioned that was good for the liver?
Nutritional yeast. That's got, well, choline, specifically choline, vitamin B6. Choline, it helps strip your liver of fat. And a lot of people that have fatty liver disease, they're given choline supplements to help rid themselves of that fat. I would recommend, you can get a supplement, but usually it's going to be kind of a synthetic form. Or you can get, this is where I start to sound crazy, take a tablespoon of this, mix it in yogurt if you are dairy, mix it in peanut butter. What's that, Kathy? I can hear you saying something. Can't hear you. But maybe she's talking to somebody else. Anyway, this is the highest source of natural B vitamins. Or there's another thing you can try. This is spirulina. Have you guys heard this before? Spirulina is a blue-green algae. It looks like green dust. Also super high in B3, B2, B6, and B12. This is actually 1,460% B12. So if people always ask you, where do vegans get their B12? this the key is absorption. If your body is not healthy, you won't absorb any nutrients at all. Even if you're a meat eater, you're going to get a fraction of what you're supposed to be getting. So the idea is to get your stomach acids, your digestive tract on point. Once you get that, then it can go places. Then you get your liver in check, your kidneys in check. The nutrition can travel all around the body and it can hit every single part of you. But the B12, your body synthesizes this in the gut, and you're fine. You have a lot of energy. I put it in my green shakes, and it charges me up. Instead of coffee, I drink a big old green thing. Does that answer your question? Okay, Lynn, thank you for asking. All right, so then I take my nutritional yeast and I sprinkle it generously throughout. So I'm gonna put it on top at first and then mix it in, and then I'm gonna put a finishing layer on top. And you'll see it tastes like cheese. It's not meant to be cheese. That's another thing about being vegetarian, or if you're trying to stay away from dairy, is they haven't thought of a good way to make cheese yet. I still haven't found it. So pizza's not pizza. It's still not pizza. So sometimes I slip and I have pizza, but that's like once a month. No, every other month. But you can also find like vegan style pizzas or dairy-free pizzas, and I would go for those. Cauliflower pizzas with the cauliflower crust. Okay, I'll touch you back on the food here. So this is my finishing. I'm gonna top it off with nutritional yeast. And I think that's everything, right? Yeah. Oven's preheated to 350. So take it. And I'm gonna let it sit for 20 to 25 minutes. This one is the one that I made last night is kind of brown because I left it in there for like 25, 30. But 20 minutes is, you can even do it for shorter if you wanted to, if you like your eggs poached, but I like to mine cooked. And that's basically it. Any questions, anybody? How'd it come out, Sasha? How's yours? Oh, you have a one pan too?
It looks good. Looks good. Let's show you. Hold on. Right there. It looks good.
Oh yeah. That's gonna be delicious. Thank you guys for joining me. This was awesome. It's the first time for me, so.
Justin, thank you so much. And see, we all loved it. You're a natural. If you can,
I appreciate
you can cook, and I know we all enjoyed it and appreciate it. Hey, I know there was some great tips in there. Make sure we'll share them again. But starting tomorrow, we're gonna have two things: the May miles and minutes, which you got to share if you're walking, if you're running, if you're biking. And then for those of you that want to try, you have until tomorrow to also take a picture of your frittata, hashtag mode challenge, and mode change, and hashtag site southeast.
You're right, mode challenge.
Oh, mode challenge, site southeast. And you're going to get amazing prizes for that. And at the end of May, that's the other challenge, the one that records the highest miles, they're now competing on who submits the best price for the winner. So it's going to get exciting. It's going to get good. And by that time, we'll all likely be free to take advantage of some of those prices. Dun, dun, dun. I'm not going to say anything else on that. But thank you, everybody, so much for joining us today. Thank you so much, Justin. Thank you, Site Southeast. You guys are what keeps us going. Hey, we're all in this together, and let's hope that frittata comes out good, because I was intermittent fasting. I'm waiting for it to come out of the oven to finally
Yes.
eat today.
I'm starving.
Bon appetit. I hope it's amazing. I love mine. I'm going to eat my old one, then eat my new one.
Thank you.
Portions for everybody else. Don't try to eat half of it in one sitting, okay?
You give it. It's true.
Thank
All
you,
right.
guys. This was great.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you for joining. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Joseph. And Jessica
Absolutely.
and Kim. Take care, everybody. God bless.
Thank you very much.
Justin, this was awesome. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.